Perhaps an apple will work. Or some sweets.
We would not be in this predicament, dear sister, were you still a virgin.
Do you really wish to have this conversation again? Here and now?
Hush, or you'll spook the beast. We shall try the sweets.
Hey folks, gonna have to ruin your fun. Sorry.
Who's that?
Roach won't eat bread either, except if it's stale. Roach likes carrots. Maybe Unicorn will too.
This is an outrage! An outrage, I tell you!
It's against the rules.
What would you say to a delicious, crunchy carrot? Easy. Gardens are huge. Be better off on horseback. Golden fish should be easy to spot once I'm under.
Bad form, sir.
Do something!
Do what exactly? Am I to jump in the water? Lodge an official protest. As fable holds, the golden fish.
They say Stark springs
Positively
baby.
useless. She can't possibly see the thing. What? You say so?
How do I muster the strength for it all?
A fruit.
If you please, Your Grace.
We do not please. We act out of the highest necessity. Or shall be explained later.
But it's against the rules.
I am the rules. Geralt! At last.
Got a key and a clue.
And I've another. Show me yours. Who wrote this drivel? I begin like a crone, hollowed out with ease, then end like a mouse, with a head of hard cheese.
Let's see. Grown. With ease gives us green, right? And mouse with a head of hard cheese. Greenhouse?
You're a genius. Several greenhouses in the gardens, indeed, but only one with locks, the key to which looks just like the one we found.
Greenhouse it is then. Let's go.
I'm here.
This belonged to you, maybe?
It did, but you may keep it. I've a new one. I do not know you. I've done you no harm. Yet first you butchered a Bruxer who was dear to me. Now you pursue me. Why?
You've killed 4 innocent people, at least.
And you? How many innocents have you cut down?
Plenty. Even more of the guilty, though. You're next.
I think not. You see, I've something to do still.
More murders?
Just one. Not counting yours.
Not good.
You were to stay where you were. Regenerate!
I know you're in trouble. I can help.
I'll help myself!
No, he's my friend.
Yes, Geralt, it's me.
Regis? You alright?
All is well. All's in order. Wounds such as these heal on vampires in moments. But we've not seen one another in ages, my friend. At least in human terms, that is.
How's this even possible? Last I saw you...
I was a bubbling, shapeless smear, having been rather spectacularly melted into a column of a certain castle. In somewhat better shape now, as you can see. Hardly peak form, mind you, but were I human, folk would think me a demigod, I dare say.
I'm sorry. What happened, it was my fault. Never got a chance to apologize.
No need, Geralt. Bygones. I did not have to join you on that expedition. No one twisted my arm.
Miraculous regeneration. How do you manage it?
I had help. From the one you hunt.
Him? How? And what have you been doing all these years?
Not the time nor place for such stories. I suspect we'll get a chance to speak at ease and at length later. Now, however, we must deal with the reason that brought us both here.
Local serial killer seems to obey you. Maybe you could talk him out of it, convince him to stop murdering.
Why do you think I've come? It shall not be easy, as Dettlaff can be rather stubborn. Though you must certainly recall that neither do I surrender readily.
So that's his name. He's your friend?
You might call it that. Though Dettlaff is... how would you humans put it? More bestial than I am. But not to worry. I'm working on him.
Haven't exactly done a great job with that. He's killed one knight since I got here. At least 3 others before I arrived.
For good reason, I'm sure. Understand, Dettlaff is not some decadent shit who kills for sport, or to assuage a dryness of throat or a dullness of mood.
So in your opinion, what are his reasons?
Precisely what I wish to find out. And then I will convince him of the error of his ways.
Got a lot of faith in the guy.
Despite appearances to the contrary, you two are quite alike. You've both noble hearts, yet you both are wont to perform ignoble deeds. When circumstances force you to, of course. Remember the year 964?
That was 3 centuries ago.
Blind fear gripped Rivia, Lyria, and Spala. Women and children were dying. Their mutilated, dismembered corpses littered the fields.
Brute of Lyria. Read about it. Chewed up almost 200, then fell to a common poacher supposedly armed with a dagger blessed by some prophet.
It fell to Dettlaff, who then found a poacher asleep in the brush near his snares and dropped the fiend's corpse at his feet. And thus, a legend was born.
Vampires rarely help humans. Must have had his own agenda, hunting the beast.
You err. He slew it for one reason alone. The monster killed a lad who once in the street had offered Dettlaff an apple, expecting nothing in return.
Terribly noble of him.
You do not have a monopoly on altruism, my friend. Vilgefortz melted my body. Dettlaff found what was left. As per our codex, he had a choice. To leave me where I was, or to care for me and nurture my remains. He chose the latter. Regenerated me at no small expense in his own blood. Do you know what that means to a vampire? The gravity of the endeavor?
Probably same thing it means to a human. You owe him your life.
Much more than that. The act itself made us blood brethren. A bond so strong humans cannot even imagine. Which is why I know something ill is afoot.
Always had an overdeveloped sense of empathy.
Each vampire has a unique talent. One they hone over centuries. It's precisely what renders us so difficult to classify. Dettlaff's trump card is his herd instinct. His tribal propensity. In point of fact, he prefers the company of lesser vampires and shuns that of humans. If he walks among you, killing egregiously, it can only mean something's upset him. Immensely.
Gotta find him, before something upsets him even more, and all Beauclair is awash with blood.
Well, we share a cause then, just like the old days.
Not entirely. I mean, when I find him, you know.
I know you've a contract on his head. Yet your true task is to stop the beast killing, not necessarily to kill the beast, am I right?
All in all, sure.
Let us find him. By the time we do, I hope I'll have convinced you Dettlaff is no monster.
Fine, all right already. But for now, evidence is stacking up against him.
Hear that?
The posse. Knights must have tracked me here.
I prefer they not find me here. I've makeshift quarters at Mère Lachaise Long Cemetery. We'll meet there.
See you.
Witcher, we flew here as fast as our courses would carry us. Yet I fear we're late all the same. Pray, where is the beast?
Still investigating. About to inspect this site. Withdraw your men before they trample all over the evidence.
Sirs, we must let the Witcher do his work. Milton's murder cannot go unavenged.
Regis! Damn it. Locked. No way I got the place wrong. This is it. Gotta be. Gotta be another way in around here. Geeking wars. Villains of Agreed to meet a vampire at a cemetery. How much more cliché can you get?
Nothing comes readily to mind.
Could have left the door unlatched.
What of my privacy? I value it rather deeply. Unmolested, especially by unwanted guests, that's my preferred state. Besides, I knew you'd find a way to get in.
True enough. Need to find your friend. I'm hoping you'll agree to help.
I shall do whatever's in my power. Yet what you want or even need must matter little. What matters is what Dettlaff wants. If he does not wish to be found, you will not find him. Ever. End of story.
Come on. Gotta be some way.
Vampires can evade detection by the senses, and no divination magic works on us. Even the most precise megascope would be useless.
And this? Could this help?
Wherever did you get that?
Off one of the beast's victims, found by a bend in the river. Body was chopped in pieces. 3 of those pieces were hands. Hand with the ring seemed the odd one out. Abruxa had taken an interest in it.
It's Dettlaff's hand, without a doubt. It will do splendidly.
Ring's pretty intriguing. Made of no metal I've ever seen. And the ornamentation.
It comes from our home, where we lived before the conjunction of spheres. It's actually mine. I received it from a dear old friend. You might call him a humanist. He saw us vampires as guests here. Guests who owe their hosts, meaning you humans and the elder races, respect.
Respect? Meaning not to treat us like cattle to be slaughtered for food?
Precisely. And the reason why I, in turn, gave it to Dettlaff. To remind him of the ideals my old friend championed.
The hand. What do you plan to do with it?
You've heard of Kovinaris' theory of tissue memory retention.
Rings a distant bell. Read about it in Alchemia Oblitera. There's a copy of Kermoran, tattered, nearly disintegrated. But if memory serves, Kovinaris never managed to prove it worked.
He did prove it, just never managed to publish his findings. He and I corresponded, you see, after we became friends. Thus, I know he completed his research and performed the first tests. It's complicated, so without delving into details, it is possible to use any piece of tissue to reconstruct what a whole body experienced.
How's it work? We need any special equipment?
We must brew a decoction which Kovinaris gave a rather poetic name, resonance. Once imbibed, it sends one into a trance similar to that induced by narcotics. This triggers visions of events linked to strong emotions experienced by the tissue's owner. Picture it as dreaming a fragment of someone's life.
Any chance we might see what Dettlaff was doing just before he lost his hand?
Indeed. Though I also hope resonance will reveal the location of Dettlaff's hideout.
Kovinaris spent half his life proving his theory. Wild guess. Making a dose of resonance won't be easy.
You guessed correctly. In addition to Dettlaff's tissue, we shall need a powerful occipital lobe stimulant. Effectively a poison, to make one susceptible to visions.
Well, got a few ingredients to choose from. Unfortunately, all are pretty rare. There's Mamoon glands, the closest ones I know of are in Vizima. The spotted white saliva would also serve, but they were culled to extinction over a century ago. Could go with a kobold's eyes, but the creatures are sentient. Rather not gouge one's eyes out.
Given that we lack the time to sleuth this out ourselves, permit me to summon some help.
What was that?
A raven? Rather a common sight at this latitude. Very intelligent fowl. I asked him to look for the creatures you mentioned, him and his brethren. Perhaps they'll find one in the area, and I would hazard that a flock of ravens will spy any said creature faster than a solitary witcher would. With all due respect to your skills, my friend. It will take them some time, nonetheless, so perhaps you'd care for a snifter of mandrake.
Rarely say no to a snifter.
Sadly, this is but a weak infusion rather than a proper distillate.
Even better. I remember your mandrake hooch. Made people say things they'd have rather kept to themselves.
Now, what could Geralt of Rivia prefer to keep to himself?
Everyone's got some secret.
I agree wholeheartedly. I also believe it wise at times to share one's secrets, unburden oneself to those one can trust.
This your sophisticated way of asking me if I trust you?
I prefer almost always to ask you directly. It seems a test of intelligence, one you just passed.
Maybe you should go first. Reveal one of your secrets. After all, you vampires lead very interesting lives.
Anything in particular interest you?
Got a new life, new body. That give you a new start, blank slate?
Starting all anew is a very broad concept. What exactly do you mean?
Your blood addiction, say. Wondering if your body's the same, if it still remembers. Maybe if you drank now, you wouldn't get hooked.
All addictions are a form of slavery. Re-addiction's not a risk I'm willing to take, just to test a hypothesis about corporeal regeneration and whether propensities carry over.
Fair enough. Curiosity, that's all. Sorry.
Not to worry, Geralt. Curiosity is a natural reaction under the circumstances, apart from which I've always valued that trait in you.
Always fascinated me the way vampires can regenerate. A hand growing back is one thing, but Detloff recreating you out of a wet smear? Something else entirely.
A difficult and laborious process, but one that's possible, as my presence proves. But I've heard you too had quite the adventure. They say you lost your memory.
For a bit, but Triss helped me get it back. Actually, pretty damn lucky I only had amnesia.
Yes, you humans are rather buggered in those terms. To strip you of life is, well, it's just plain easy. I've always pitied you in that regard. We vampires are much harder nuts to crack. If a member of another race kills one of us, we can be reborn with a living higher vampire's help. However, if one of our own strikes the deadly blow, death is permanent. There can be no rebirth. One of the chief reasons why vampires long ago swore never to fight one another.
Curious what you did after you were reborn.
As I'm sure you can surmise, at first I was thoroughly absorbed with recovering. As it is, I've still not recovered completely. Yet I was so weak the first year that I could not stand or move on my own. Detloff bore my weakness bravely, showed great patience. If not for him, I wouldn't be here, and I'd have regenerated far slower. Once I could at last stand unassisted, I set off for Bruges, for my one-time home of Dillingen. There I led the peaceful life of a rural healer and surgeon, enjoying my neighbours' respect and, in fact, constituting the exact opposite of the monstrous vampire the populace imagines.
Bruges, you say? Rebirth make you sentimental?
Perhaps a dash. But what of you? Where have you been? Ever find your Cyrilla?
Back then, yeah. But we parted again soon after. And when the time was ripe, she came back. Defeated the Wild Hunt together.
Ooh. Seems I certainly missed quite a bit while I was absent.
True enough. But it's a conversation we'll have another time. Need to know more about you now. All right, give you one question. What do you want to know?
One question to ask one as fascinating as you, Geralt. Cruel parsimony, I'd say, but I shall do my best to make it count. If you were to die and be reborn as I was, in your new life, would you choose to be a witcher?
See, Regis. Doubt I'd know how to be anything else.
Ever tried?
See, you're determined to get an answer, to find out if I like being a witcher. Just refuse to ask directly, as always. I like being on the path. I like picking up a lead, a trail. I like the tension right before a fight. And nothing gets my adrenaline flowing like battling a beast. Even gotten used to people treating me like a freak, an outcast. Yeah, not something I think about much, but I like being a witcher.
Thank you for being honest. Honesty is an attribute of the truly brave, and thus a privilege of the very few.
Still no sign of your winged friend. Sure it understood what you wanted?
Dead certain. Let's wait a bit longer. It'll return soon, don't doubt that for a moment. Ever vigilant, even in his sleep. Quite vampire-like, in fact. Are you absolutely certain they don't administer a few of our genes during the trial of the grasses?
Far as I know, none. Now what you got for me?
You were right. No kobolds or mamoons for miles around.
Knew it.
Allow me to finish. You see, there's this spotted white. It haunts an abandoned residence in the Caraberta woods.
Impossible. My brethren hunted down every last spotted white before I was born.
Then it seems you must revise your knowledge of spotted whites. For somehow this will manage to survive your brethren's onslaught. It seems I know this home it haunts. Recall a tale about it. Locals believe the place cursed. Perhaps that's how the white survived entirely unmolested.
Know anything else about this curse?
I don't recall much in particular. Really don't attach much importance to such things. It was mentioned to me as an anecdote, no more.
Come on, search your memory. Something, anything could be important.
I believe it had a relation to hunger, or, perhaps greed, rapacity. Someone was punished for something...
Textbook definition of a curse, pretty much.
Sorry, Geralt, I try not to clutter my mind with the details of every far-fetched tale I happen to hear. What are your thoughts?
A specimen of a species thought long extinct, and a curse, in one place. That a coincidence, or are they related?
Ah, professional curiosity. Personally, I've nothing against you delving into this dilemma, but please remember we need the white's saliva. Nothing beyond that.
Whites rarely appear in the woods, even less likely to find them in abandoned human homes. They inhabit remote wildernesses, old abandoned cemeteries.
What's your point?
This might not be a spotted white after all. Your little helper might have made a mistake.
I sincerely doubt it. Ravens are devilishly intelligent creatures, and they've highly developed observational skills.
What exactly did they observe?
The area around the estate. It's covered in... spoons.
Spoons?
Spare me the skeptical smile. I'm but the bearer of this news. Or perhaps this spotted white is a hoarder. Or the spoons are somehow related to the curse.
Let's do this. Start making your decoction while I go get some saliva from that white. Uses it in its brews.
Do you imagine the white will simply sell you some?
Worst case scenario, I'll bring you its salivary glands. They ought to do as well.
For a moment there I imagined you asking the white to spit into a vial. Quite amusing as a thought, but the salivary glands will do fine indeed.
So, see you later.
Yes, till later. I shall start by perusing some tomes.
Tomes? Thought you were gonna make this decoction.
We require one last ingredient. Alas, obtaining it could prove a trifle toilsome. Thus I hope to identify a suitable alternative.
All right. Good luck.
And to you, my friend.
our guests. Never a good omen. That the spoons are beating out some kind of rhythm, a message, trying to tell me something. None shall sit and dine with you at your table. No spoon you have shall say to you, never again shall you wish to spy your reflection in the mirror. Sounds like a curse, all right. Somebody's clearly obsessed. Regis mentioned the place might be cursed. Can't be a coincidence. Need to look around. Pigsty. Need to search it thoroughly. Find a way to collect some white saliva. White's obsessed. A real collector. Thoroughbred. Spoon. Pretty ordinary. Maybe a little old. Girl realized she was changing into a monster, recorded it in her diary. Poignant, smashed mirror, as if someone couldn't stand to look at themselves. The monster. Journal's author, maybe? No spoon you have shall say to you. Whatever lives here treated that literally. Still searching for the right spoon. Another spoon. Yep, just as normal as the last one. Skeletons. Doubt they came here willingly. This have anything to do with the curse? None shall sit and dine with you at your table. It'd make sense. Actually does seem like a White's lair. Bit atypical, but still. Cauldron should be somewhere around here. Cauldron I was looking for. White's not particularly tidy. Table's set. White, who lives here, is getting ready for some sort of feast. Cauldron's empty, unfortunately. Regis needs some brew. Afraid he won't get that. No choice but to hide and wait for the saliva glands and their bearer. Need a spot that'll let me observe the cauldron. White that lives here, definitely afflicted by a curse, and it's been trying desperately to lift it. Not gonna hurt you. Wanna help? I've seen the words of the curse on the walls. Think I know how to lift it. You tried to bring folk here, convince them to sit at the table with you, right? Well, I'm gonna be your guest now. Your willing guest. Just need a bit for Regis. And now we'll tend to you. We can't use spoons. No, that won't work. You've been looking for a spoon that would feed you, but there's no such spoon. We need to eat without spoons. Open your eyes. You need to see your likeness. Just not quite like I expected. Need to see what happened to the white. Won't be hard to find given its stench. Easy. Not gonna hurt you.
Eat. I must eat.
I'll take you someplace safe. So I took her by the hand and led her here. Seemed the only sensible place for her.
You did the right thing, sir. She should recover quickly here. Don't worry, sir. I shall see to everything. She is safe here and in good hands. She'll soon be back on her feet.
Might actually take a while. She hadn't eaten anything in over 100 years when I found her.
Horrid. Whatever brought this about?
Told me her story on the way here. Her name's Marlena. She was once the very beautiful and proud heiress to the Trastamara estate. One evening, when she was holding a banquet for friends, a beggar came to her gate seeking alms. He had a bowl and a spoon with him. He sat outside her fence and waited.
I've heard of the custom. An ancient rite of hospitality that obliges one to give food and drink to such a guest lest he depart hungry. To neglect the custom is to bring great misfortune down upon oneself.
Marlena didn't care a whit for the old customs. She drove the man off, saying she'd rather feed the leftovers from her feast to her dogs than to give the beggar anything. The beggar then broke his spoon, cast a curse. She was beautiful, so he said she'd never wish to look at herself in the mirror again. Since she adored feasts, he swore no one would ever wish to sit and dine with her. And as she even refused him the crumbs from her table, he swore she'd never find a spoon in the world that would sate her hunger.
A harsh punishment. I imagine lifting the curse was hardly simple.
Curses are tricky. They play on irony. Always gotta figure out what the catch is. Marlena had spent decades looking for a way to lift it. Transformed into a wight, she stole spoons and lured folk into her home, trying each time to get them to dine with her. Didn't work.
So what did?
Someone had to sit down and share a meal with her, of their own free will. They had to eat without using spoons, and make her look at her reflection.
That's it? That was all it required?
Simplest solutions are sometimes the last that come to mind. Besides, when you're a wight, it's pretty damn hard to find willing human company for a feast.
I imagine so. But, most importantly, it is now over. Please, don't worry. She will be in good hands here.
Think your friend's hand will make for a nice broth?
You've clearly honed your sense of humor. But we are not cannibals, Geralt. I took a fragment of tissue from the hand. It will suffice to prepare some resonance.
What did you do with the rest?
I cremated it, as our codex commands. A raven told me you'd acquired the necessary ingredient.
Pretty helpful creatures. Call on them often?
I try not to overdo it. But they can be so useful, as they were now, when I merely needed to be sure I could arrive in time should things go sour.
Managed fine alone, but thanks for the thought. Gonna need much longer to finish brewing resonance? Mentioned a last ingredient, too. What about that?
That, I fear, might prove troublesome. You see, to use the concoction to summon the memories of one, the solution must contain the blood of another specimen of the same species.
Shouldn't be a problem. I happen to know a higher vampire who should be willing to help. Right, Regis?
It's not that simple, I'm afraid. While you were away, I tried my damnedest to identify a replacement, but, alas, none such exists.
Not sure I understand what the problem is. Can't we just draw some of your blood?
The blood must be in an agitated state. As I'm certain you know, higher vampires can change their corporeal shell. As our flesh changes, so does our blood's chemical composition. To make a long story short, I shall need to induce in myself a state of strong psychokinetic arousal. In brief, madness, rabidity. And that stands to be very, very dangerous.
All right, so what do you want to do?
We shall visit Tesha Mudna, an ancient vampire estate. There we will find cages suspended in the air. I will enter one, be confined. You will lure beasts there. Beasts you will then kill. The bloodletting should prove profuse. Abundant enough so that the blood scent will drive me mad. Wild.
Tesha Mudna. What's it like?
It is a place of torment. A torture chamber. Long ago, shortly after we'd arrived in this world, one among us named Kagmar developed such a taste and lust for human blood that in one night he could imbibe an entire village. This brought trouble on the entire species. Common folk wearied quickly of living in constant fear. They began to hunt us, seek the aid of mages and witches in tracking us down.
So what? Not like they could ever hope to kill you.
But they were bothersome. Forgive the comparison, but when did you last enjoy mosquitoes buzzing around your head? In any case, the other vampires decided something had to be done. Kagmar had to be caught and punished. A torture chamber was thus outfitted in the dungeons of Teshamutna. Inside it, a cage made entirely of a special alloy of silver, dalvinite, and meteorite steel. Kagmar was captured and locked in the cage, sat there over 2 centuries, driven to fury time after time, never able to escape. Thus I know the cage will withstand the fury to which we shall drive my humble being.
See no reason to dawdle. Teshamutna. Take me there.
In a moment. Just one last thing.
What was that?
Blood. Oh, the last favor the Raven did me. I've also taken some Sancurium, a solution that sharpens one's sense of smell. 1 drop of blood shall smell like a gallon to me now.
You crazy? You're a recovering addict.
Your outrage warms my heart, Geralt. But you must remain calm. I have no choice. As things stand, the die is cast. High time we set off for Teshamutna. My head's spinning already, and you're starting to smell quite tasty.
And you're starting to scare me.
We have arrived. The sacrificial chamber of torture and torment lies underground.
You lead. Scurvers must be getting close to their feeding ground.
Correct. I told you there'd be danger. Beyond this wall lies...
An ancient vampire dungeon. Seen a lot of things in my time. Nothing quite like this, though.
I feel honored. A man with such a wealth of experience, yet I'm about to show him something new. Now, to open it.
How the hell?
It's an ancient form of protection against unwanted guests. The mechanism which releases the latch reacts only to a higher vampire blood.
Tricky mechanisms, a vampire hideout. Fortified, secured. Must have been important to your species once, Toussaint.
It shall always be so. During the conjunction, the gate from our world into this one opened upon this land and no other. This was the first place we saw.
Human husbandry and care? This for real?
The author observed humans, their behavior, over the many years he spent reading them. Morally suspect though it may be, it's a thorough survey of the topic.
This place. There's evil here. Death hangs in the air.
Yes. A great many beings have breathed their last here.
Glyphs are carved into the rock. Coated with blood used to be. They mean something?
They're emblems, symbols of, well, what you would call tribes, dispersed throughout the world after the conjunction. My ancestors placed them here to remind us where we came from.
Cells this symbol mean for?
It's the symbol of the Dead, those who went east beyond the Blue Mountains.
charming place. But what are all those cages for? Mentioned one vampire being kept here.
Yes, well, you see, humanitarians is something my ancestors were not. They concluded Kagmar would best be punished if he were tormented with the scent of blood he could not taste. Thus, they also kept humans here. Humans whose blood they slowly let. Kagmar ranted and raged in pain as those humans slowly bled to death.
They treated them like livestock. Live bait.
I'd like to be able to turn back time. Deny it, but alas, I can do neither. Feel shame for my brethren. That is all I can do.
Don't take it so hard. Nothing you could have done about it. Let's get to work.
Well, that was awkward. Fine. I prepared the bait. Please be so kind and place it. Ideally at the tunnel entrances. The scent will spread most effectively then. Place the bait at the tunnel.
Come on, show me your claws.